Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal, or Super Thanks. It helps a lot, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Today's video I will start with the most interesting situation that is happening around Antonovsky Bridge located here. Many of you might already know the news, but let me repeat it. So apparently Ukrainians launched a limited amphibious assault on the Russian side of what's left of the Antonovsky Bridge, and were able to successfully establish a small bridgehead that is about a kilometer wide around this bridge and this small settlement, and were able to hold it for a time. Now, as of right now, the situation is such: Russians are continuously trying to squeeze them out of this bridgehead with use of more lighter armored vehicles like BTRs and BMPs. Here, Ukrainians have somewhere around 50 to 100 men, so not a strong or big contingent. They are armed with light anti-tank weaponry, so they can do some damage to the Russian armor. As of right now, fighting here in this sector continues, and there are reports that soon Russia will start to use aviation to completely get rid of this problem. Why Ukrainians decide to launch an attack here is unclear, but it would seem Russians does not want them to establish a bridgehead here, because if Ukrainians will be able to develop more troops here, they can launch attacks along this road and perhaps take this entire peninsula or island altogether. So I don't think Russians really want to give up this big chunk of land without a fight. So most interesting information, I will be watching it closely. Then from here, let's go to the Zaporozhian front. Here situation was developing. In the last 48 hours, Ukrainians have become active here on this front line. It would seem that initially when the military coup of Prigozhin started, they were confused and didn't really use it to their advantage. Perhaps they were expecting a longer conflict. There were some action, there were some fighting here in the direction of Pyatikhatki and Lapkova. No territorial changes are reported here, however. Then let's move to the Malotokmachka and Orikhiv. Throughout last 48 hours, Ukrainians were continuously launching assaults. At first, they were very limited, and then at some point, Ukrainians did launch a stronger assault, and as a result of that, they were able to capture some territory in front of the settlement of Rabotine. So as a result of that, this is how much they were able to capture from the Russians. In the last 24 hours, there were a lot of reports of Ukrainian activity here on this front. They were launching attacks after attacks, and each time they attacked, relative success was reported. It would seem they advanced trenches by trenches, and this is the result of that overall fight. However, these attacks did not come easy, and Ukrainians have lost a lot of equipment. For example, here is a video of a Ukrainian column. It isn't that big, as you can see, only 2 tanks and what would seem to be 1 MRAP, advancing towards Russian positions and being heavily shelled. As you can see, they are advancing without any cover whatsoever on the open fields, using dirt roads. Then you can see there is a very close call by the Russian shell. And then, if you missed it, there was a Ukrainian tank hit. If we reverse the video, we can see there is the tank going. And then the hit. Now, there's of course a possibility that that tank hit a mine. The MRAP is retreating. The fire is especially heavy here. And what I'm trying to say is these losses are inevitable when you are on the offensive. I'm sure one day Russia will go on the offensive again, and the losses will be piling up as well for them. But as of right now, it is Ukrainians who are on the offensive, and it is Ukrainians who are losing a lot of equipment. I have a minute-long video of a drone footage that shows a lot of Ukrainian equipment destroyed on the roads. I will try to put some classical music on it so it wouldn't be quiet. Once again, it shows at what cost Ukrainians are achieving those victories. Then let's quickly move to Vremivka tactical bridgehead. Here Ukrainians attacked restlessly from Livadne and Novodarivka, from Novodarivka in direction of Rivnopol and from Livadne in the direction of Priyutne. Some local success was achieved here. They were also attacking here in between Urozhaine and Kermenchik. Some report suggests that the fighting for the Urozhaine is already raging on. They were also attacking from Zlota Niva in the direction of Novodonetsky. However, here this attack was unsuccessful. Here I have a video for you of a Russian tank driving in the direction of the settlement of Makarivka, driving to the streets, destroying 2 armored vehicles, which seem to be MRAPs, and then returning back. So there you go. As you could see, the tank was forced to turn around and expose its weak rear. Rear for Russian tanks is always their weakest spot, and this is mainly due to the fact that Russian tanks have a abysmal reverse speed, around 4 kilometers per hour, so very slow. And this was a reason for a lot of those tanks being lost. They didn't have ability to retreat fast enough or safe enough. That's an interesting video to get that fact out there. Then there was a territorial change in Avdiivka. Here, as a result of continuous Ukrainian assaults, Ukrainians were able to advance in the direction of Vadyane and capture about this much territory from the Russians. So as you can see, not much, but if what I know about trench lines is true, they were at least able to penetrate 2 of those defensive lines. So perhaps there was 1 Russian defensive line here in this force line, and here was the second one. Maybe there were some temporary secondary ones here as well along this force line. Sometimes it happens as well. This could be big because, as you can see, at this point, Ukrainians are now very, very close to the settlement of Vadyane. And we'll just have to see what Russians will do about this. Perhaps we can expect a counterattack. Ukrainians can spot this as a weak point and double down on their attacks, striking all across this front line towards Vadyane and of course towards Apitne as well. And perhaps if they are to be successful, they will negate all the Russian success in this sector. From here, let's visit Bakhmut or Artyomovsk. First, let's talk about the situation around Kurdyumovka. A few days ago, I reported that Ukrainians were able to capture Russian positions located in this sector and reach this chokehold. There were a small portion of Russian held territories here as well, and I said that soon we are to expect Ukrainians attack and retake that as well, and that's exactly what they did. If we zoom in, we can see there is a also small choke point where Ukrainians and Russians can cross this canal on foot. But again, all those places are basically chokeholds, and it probably won't give Ukrainians all that much advantage. If Ukrainians want to achieve any success across the canal, they will be forced to cross through canal itself and fight Russian positions located in this force line. Then we move to the settlement of Klishchiivka. If you remember, Klishchiivka is located in the lowlands, so positions in front of it that are located on the tactical heights are very important for the Russians. Here, as a result of a successful Ukrainian attack, Ukrainian forces were able to push Russians away from these positions right here, capturing about this much territories. And some Ukrainian and pro-Russian sources are claiming that Ukrainians were able to advance here as well and capture several trench lines in front of Klishchiivka. So we can see fighting here around Klishchiivka intensified, and if nothing done, perhaps we can expect Klishchiivka to become a gray zone first and then be captured by Ukrainians. We'll see how Russians will react to all this situation. Now, Ukrainians again are not advancing here without any resistance. For example, there were reports of Russians heavily bombarding Ukrainian positions within Ivanivsky, which at this point became a battlefield for a completely new battle. Of course, Ukrainians did also try to end attack towards Yagodne and Berhivka. In this sector, they had some relative success, again capturing occasional trench lines. This was mostly reported by pro-Ukrainian sources, so if you don't trust them, take this information with a grain of salt. However, their attacks in the direction of Berhivka failed. Anyway, this is the end of the video. If it was to your liking, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and a subscription. If you feel extra generous, please also consider supporting me on Patreon. It would greatly improve my financial situation. Thank you in advance. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.